How's it going? Welcome back, my wonderful wise ones, to a fantastic video today. Now, do you like to eat Unreal Engine slop? Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, do you like to play the same game you've played before? Let me just check my notes here. I believe that's wrong, Savior. I think you're actually supposed to follow the script that they sent you, so let's continue with that.
What?
But in all seriousness, I actually don't hate this game. I don't want to make people upset. If you're excited about this game, more power to you. I think this is actually a fun game. I don't want people to feel less excited about this remake, okay? Because today I'm going to be giving you my Halo Campaign Evolved review. Because fundamentally this is a remake, but it's not exactly a remake. It's much more of a reimagining, not a reboot either. It's basically a remix mode, similar to the stuff you would get with Halo Campaign Evolved on the PC side of things with a bunch of different mods. That's what this game feels like. And today I'm going to be giving you my Halo Campaign Evolved review and keep it objective, save my negative takes towards the end, because honestly there is a lot here I like.
This is where the fun begins.
I'm not alone in criticizing this game as a remake to the original.
This is not like a truly revolutionary experience. This is not the best Halo game that I've ever played. It's definitely not as good as OG Halo 1. Like, I'm just gonna lay that out. It's not, like, in pretty much every way besides like raw graphical fidelity.
New games always build hype and excitement, and you get the crazed fanboys that seem to believe that it's their job, their sole purpose in this life is to basically uphold their corporate values and basically please their corporate overlords by, you know, always praising every new game that comes out because they've got personal investment into it. You know, they've already paid for the game, so they feel that they have to defend it. It's a product, okay? At the end of the day, it's a goddamn product.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
And you're nothing to them but money, okay? It's not like here where I actually care about you guys, okay? They view you purely as, you know, a dollar check. I don't get this mentality of defending something just because you personally like it or you personally put money into it. We're all allowed to criticize something. That actually makes a product better at the end of the day, and it makes art much more interesting, which clearly it's lacking right now, modern day art and gaming entertainment, because we're getting these remakes over and over again. So do check out my last video because that's where I put all of my gripes into the current state of remakes in modern day gaming and talk in great detail about the art style changes from this game to the OG and what I don't like about Unreal Engine, okay? And I will save those points towards the end of the video in this, but I do want to be objective. I want to be fair because there is plenty to like about this game also as a standalone new Halo experience. So if you are a fan of the OG Halo game, like myself, you grew up with that game and you still think personally the art style is better in the OG, check out my last video. Sadly, this is not the full Campaign Evolved remake that I was hoping for because we do not get the multiplayer, and there has actually been confirmed reports that there was a multiplayer mode on the table, but it got completely scrapped and it was going to be these big battles because think about it, with current technology we could have more vehicles on screen in these maps. We could make the maps bigger, we could add more players and bring back some of the amazing classic maps from Halo 1 and make that even more insane. Like, that would be amazing, but sadly we're not getting that because the leadership of this current studio is absolutely batshit insane. I think they've done too much coke in that studio or something, but they've all lost their goddamn minds. And there's been lots of reports about this game being outsourced to other developers because the management with them is just so bad, which is nothing really surprising. But what is surprising is even though with bad reports coming out of the studio and having it as a little bit more of a stripped back experience, the core game here, the core Halo experience is actually fine. I mean, it's actually fun. So I'm going to be looking at this from two different angles. One, a Halo Campaign Evolved remake review, and two, I'm going to be looking at this game from the perspective of a separate Halo game, not just a remake. So that's why I think it's important to truly look and be fair in this Halo Campaign Evolved review.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money!
So let's get into the positives and negatives like I do with all of my early access reviews. And to be completely transparent, this is based on the early access build that I have had access to, and other YouTubers have also played at events and stuff like that as well. So I can't talk about the new missions and stuff like that, but I have done extensive research to discuss exactly what these missions are going to be and how long they are and stuff like that. Obviously I can't talk about everything because of, you know, contract reasons and stuff like that, but that's why I like to do my early access reviews, because you never know what you're gonna get, and it's always important to be informed before you spend money on pre-orders and stuff like that. And I always do advise that you do not pre-order games. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, become a wise one today, use your intelligence for some good in this world. If you like a deeper look at video games, dissecting their themes and philosophy, and looking at the deeper thematics behind art and video games and philosophy, subscribe, become a wise one. I do early access reviews, yearly reviews, and deep video essays on games and things I like. So subscribe today, I appreciate it, and give the video a like. But the fun thing about YouTube, and the whole reason I've been grinding this out for like 5 years, is because I can have a conversation with you guys, the wise ones, in the comments. So please do sound off below. Don't be afraid to let your opinions be heard. I'm sure a lot of you disagree with some of my takes, that's fine.
Let's go already!
The actual combat, moment-to-moment gameplay is what surprisingly feels very good, especially since the other early access, they have actually gone back and changed a couple of things to make it feel a lot better. For example, now you can't just sprint through the whole battle, which you could before in the demo build at the event, but now you can actually, when you are sprinting, which you can disable by the way, you will actually get stopped if you get hit by, you know, a plasma round or whatever. It does actually take you out of that animation, so it does actually encourage you to be a little bit more tactical or a little bit more slow. But there are fundamental changes to the gameplay, like others have probably talked about, like there not being any health pickups. And the first game is so well done, it's so well balanced with the amount of health pickups, which make it feel very challenging, especially on harder modes. That's a lot of fun playing on harder modes. But this time, you know, you are just recharging your shield. There's not as much pressure to clear an area perfectly as there used to be. So it's much more fast with the moment-to-moment combat, which is kind of, you know, a good thing you could say. I personally really loved that. I remember playing, you know, I just did a replay of this very recently actually, this year, of the OG. I was playing with like 3 or 4 different skulls or something, and on the, not the hardest difficulty, but the second to hardest difficulty. And I had to replay certain sections like over and over and over and over again, especially when you have that skull which makes the grenades go absolutely apeshit and they explode at like 2 times radius. So I was getting completely destroyed. But replaying it over and over again, it gave me such satisfaction when I did actually clear that checkpoint. And because the checkpoints are so well done, you know, with like how often they come and where the health pickups are, it's just so well balanced that time. But with this game, it's much more of your traditional Halo, modern Halo shooter, where you can hide behind cover, regen, and then go back into it. If you've ever played Call of Duty and modern Halo games, you'll know what it's like. But it feels like a mashup of kind of Halo Infinite, Halo 4 or 5 with a little bit of like Halo 3. I wouldn't say the combat really does feel like Halo 1, but that's not a bad thing. And that is the next positive slash negative, however you want to take it. I would say it's a positive in some ways because it is a new game, a new experience, and you can still play the OG if you want. And that is the fact that this game is basically Halo Remixed, okay? I think they should have called it Halo Remixed or Halo Campaign Remixed or something instead of Halo Campaign Evolved, because it's not a faithful remake in many ways. It's much more of a remix when it comes down to the sound design of the weapons, them all being from all over the place, from different Halo games, from Halo Reach to Halo 4 to Halo 3 to Halo 2. The same with the art style, a lot of it being pulled from all over the place. The fact that they're using the Reach engine code underneath all of this, underneath the Unreal Engine slop. I mean, Unreal Engine amazing graphics.
Moore's Law is probably currently running at about 2 times. 1,000 times in 5 years. You can come, developers can come.
So it's very interesting because it's such a remixed version of Halo where you get different audio from different Halo games. And some people might say it's a thematic mess, but others might say it's very interesting. Okay, and this does bring me on to my next big positive, and this actually is a huge positive, no question about it, and that is the fact that because it is a remixed version of the game, one of the main things they leaned into with this Halo campaign Evolved is the remix mode, okay? So they obviously know what they're going for, but they kind of wanted to market it as a faithful remake, which I think actually does it a disservice, because then you get crazy fanboys like me who love the original and think the art style is amazing and shouldn't be altered. And if you just said it was a remix version of the game, that makes a lot more sense. Because the remix mode in this is so good, so amazing. Like, this is what, you know, is the good thing about this game. This is kind of the main selling point, if you ask me, and the reason why I think it is a good Halo game, because you can go back to these older levels, you can turn them into flood levels, you can turn them into, you know, like a whole Halo flood takeover game if you want. You can add the flood back into the game, you can add fog, flood into all of the levels to make them feel completely different. You can have different factions work together or not fight each other and stuff like that. Like, it's fucking awesome, okay? And this was so good about original Halo. This was the thing that made Halo a goddamn masterpiece. What made this like one of the best first-person shooters ever made. It wasn't just for, you know, aesthetics and the art style, of course that all helps, the ambience, the music, that is iconic, of course, all of that stuff. There's so many things. But one of the things that I really love is seeing each of the little factions in this sandbox nature, you know, in these kind of open levels, interact with each other, especially when the Flood get introduced, or, you know, the Marines fighting with the Covenant, stuff like that. You know, like, they have so much personality, and now you can remix the factions so they have even more interactions. Like, that is such a cool thing. Also, across the levels, you can find these little terminals which will give you extra lore, which is really nice. The UI and everything is all tweakable, and there's a lot of customization. This game, like I said, feels very much inspired by mods because it is all so heavily customizable. Now, leading on to the next big positive, and that is the fact that they've added special missions. Yes, that's right. So there is actually new content in this. Now, I won't say it's as well done as something like Black Flag, which I think justifies itself much more as a remake, not like a game with a bunch of mods, which kind of is what this feels like. Because if you've played Halo on PC, you'll know that the modding community has done a lot of fan-made versions of the campaign. You can get like memified ones, you can get like ones that add more content or tweak the difficulty, add different enemies and stuff like that. It kind of feels like that. And also there are missions where now you can fly around, but all of the new content, you know, actually comes out to around a couple of hours, you know. The remix mode is where the real craziness is, and that is with all of the added skulls. There are so many skulls with this remake version, and you can tweak it to make it feel much more like OG Halo, or make it feel much more like this modern Halo.
Yeah. Friends, best of friends, badass friends. Yeah, man. You know, you can tell me anything. I'm here for you. Oh, hold that thought. Chief, get out and hit the button. I'll wait right here. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine.
I do like some quality of life, like modern updates, like being able to aim down your sights and stuff like that. But again, you can tweak that. Also, they kind of tweak the levels a little bit. This is another positive, where it's very faithful to the level design, which is why it's a little bit weird. Because if this was a remake, I would have liked to seen them go more crazy with redesigning the levels. As it's not a remaster, it's a remake, so why not remake some of the actual level design structure and add new islands, make the first map a little bit more bigger. Stuff like that would have been cool to see. So now when you're going through the silent cartographer and stuff like that, or you're running through these Forerunner buildings and stuff, it's not going to be so copy and pasted. They're going to have different layouts, different interactions, like kind of drawbridges and stuff like that that you can disable and travel across. There's also like side passages that you can go off and explore in all of the levels. You can find the skulls, and pick them up, but you can't actually use them as a weapon or stuff like that. But they do have quality of life features from the other Halo games, like being able to hijack enemy vehicles. Another thing I really like is the fact that they've added so many new weapons to this game, which I really like. Some classic weapons from the other Halo games, some redesigns of classic Halo weapons as well, which I really like, and also new enemy types. Like I said, different flood variations in this, but also some other new enemies that are not in campaign but are in this game now, like the berserkers and stuff like that. Now, like I said, I can't talk about, you know, the new added content with the missions because I haven't been able to play that, only the early access stuff. That's why this is an early review, an early access review. But honestly, like I said, it doesn't add to that, it doesn't add tons of extra content. It's not going to be like 5 hours plus or anything like that. And also, I do feel like some of the characters are a little bit more weak. Some of the cutscenes as well just don't seem to fit that well.
Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed!
Now, the next positive for this game is luckily they haven't negated co-op completely. Even though it's not the multiplayer that we truly wanted, there is still co-op in this. You can actually play this campaign with up to, like, with your buddies, which is really nice. And also there is going to be that kind of theater mode back in this game. It's just so annoying because they have all of this, so why not just add proper multiplayer? It's very frustrating, but still there is some personality options, but still there is some customization there, like I said. But there is a cynical part of me that kind of feels like this game won't have longevity, not like the OG, because the remix mode, as much as it is a lot of fun, and I think the main fun that you know you'll get from it is changing the difficulty, doing all of these crazy challenging runs with your friends. A lot of it kind of leans into that kind of YouTuber content. They're kind of going for almost like friend slop style of game modes, which I know is kind of, you know, cynical to say. Like, I think it is going to be a lot of fun, but I'm just not sure how long this will last, or if it's just to generate hype for the game. For example, the lava mode, okay, the floor is lava mode, that is so cool, and actually it's a lot of fun. But, you know, once you've played the whole campaign throughout and you've done a whole challenge run, so basically it means you can't touch the floor, you've got to constantly be hopping around or finding somewhere to stand, and then you could add that with other modifiers. Like, there is a lot of modifiers, that is the fun. It is the whole remix mode, I'll say, is the fun part, not exactly the remake, which is kind of strange considering this is a remake, but I digress. The remix mode is the funnest thing, but how long will that actually last? Only time will tell, I guess. But yeah, that's something to be aware of, is there's lots of cool modes, but I'm just not sure how much replayability there is, because at the end of the day, they are still the same levels, and, you know, you can change enemies and stuff like that. But honestly, I would have much rather seen a complete redesign for this remake to make, you know, the levels completely different, similar to, you know, that of Silent Hill 2 remake or something like that, you know, to actually add more content. But basically what this is, it's a faithful, but basically this is very faithful in some weird ways, like the level design and stuff like that, with a few added tweaks, but then a mix mash of Halo ideas and gunplay from all over the, you know, Halo games, with the balancing kind of feeling all over the place with this remix mode. So it's a very interesting game, but overall I would say yes, it's worth it if you're a die-hard Halo fan and you love this game and you want to play a good new Halo game, because it is certainly a good new Halo game. If I look at it objectively and not as, like, you know, a remake of the best Halo game, in my opinion, Halo 1 and 2 is the best Halo games. I'm not a huge fan of 3, so don't shoot me. I think it's good, but I just love 1 and 2 the most. But if you look at it purely as, you know, a remix version of the game, not a remake, then yeah, this is a lot of fun. But I'm just not sure how long that fun is going to last.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
So that is my Halo Campaign Evolved review. All of the positive stuff, so people won't completely murder me in the comments. Now I'm going to discuss the negatives. But if you really do want me to talk more about the art style, do check out my most recent video, as I go into great detail there, dissecting what has changed, why I think this isn't exactly needed as a game. But objectively, as a new sci-fi shooter, yes, this is great. Because it's Halo, it's still OG Halo underneath it all, kind of. Even if it is kind of the Reach code and everything. It's still got that, you know, level design. It's still got that fun combat. And it's honestly the best Halo game we've had in a very, very long time. And it does feel Halo, it just doesn't feel like unique Halo. And each Halo game has always got such a strong identity. This feels like it doesn't truly have an identity. That's the problem. But it is definitely worth it, it's worth your time. So if you're wondering, is Halo Campaign Evolved worth it? Yes, it is. If you're a die-hard Halo fan, if you can get it on sale, if you understand what it is. But yeah, if you're a die-hard purist, I don't think you need it, honestly. So I do hope you enjoyed my quick early Halo Campaign Evolved review. Now we're gonna dissect some of the negatives, talk about some things I don't like, and these are subjective takes, okay, not objective takes. So, you know, take it as you will.
This is where the fun begins.
So the first negative is of course the art style. I talked about that previously in my last video, so do check it out. But basically it comes down to this, like the personality of it feeling alien and unique is kind of lost, in my opinion. It's not as bad as the kind of other remake slash remaster they did a while ago, but they have still lost that charm of making it feel truly alien and mystic and just that ambience. It also lacks a lot of ambience. That could just be the early access build, but it does feel like it's a little bit less quiet with the ambient noises and stuff like that. But there is still nice chatter with the Marines and stuff like that, so it is good in some areas. But a lot of the kind of cool ambient areas with all the kind of cool alien lights in the Forerunner buildings, that's all just been kind of replaced by just darkness. And this disgusting shiny metal that Unreal Engine, you know, can't actually render properly because Unreal Engine 5 sucks ass. So it just looks like, you know, glittery dog shit over everything. Like, I just don't understand the obsession with modern day gaming and Unreal Engine 5, okay? I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. The next thing is the AI is quite broken in some areas. I'll just, you know, play another clip of other people finding this problem as well.
The AI in this game do not feel particularly intelligent. I had instances of the enemies just not alerting to me when I was next to them. I had enemies that would just stand still and not patrol at all. They just kind of stand still and freeze in a room.
I do think some of the charm of Cortana and Johnson is kind of lost in this modern remake of Halo Combat Evolved. So yeah, I just don't think they're as cool. They seem a little bit more try-hard. Now, there's a lot less personality this time around with the kind of exploration and the kind of jump hacks. And that is something I love so much about the OG Halo games. Okay, it just takes me back to my childhood. You know, you would be able to get up on places that you weren't supposed to. Basically, you could explore the map in areas that you weren't supposed to. You could get an advantage on an enemy if you committed to, you know, a long trek. Like, I just remember, like, you know, grenade jumping up to the top of the mountain and then walking across that. Like, you can't do that because it's been replaced by geometric, you know, new fidelity shapes and all this, you know, added bullshit. There are still, you know, some areas that are off limits technically that you can get to, but it has lost some of that fun, out of bounds kind of personality exploration, which I think what makes Halo so magical as well. The cutscenes do seem a little bit off, so do the sounds with some weapons. Like I said, it's just all over the place. And I do think that, you know, some of the sounds are good, but some of them just feel completely off. Like the plasma weapons, I think, sound a lot worse. And it just feels much more generic sci-fi instead of that kind of religious, kind of mystic, weird, GameCube-y special atmosphere that the first game had, with, you know, the strong, like, use of kind of simple, weird-looking textures and geometric shapes and color grading and just, I don't know, like, do we need it to be hyper-realistic? But again, that's a personal bias, but I do think the original looks a lot better. And then, of course, we can talk about the balancing issues, like with the new health system, health pickups being completely gone, and, you know, the fact that you can kind of sprint through the mission if you want, but it is a lot better now, but it's still an issue. And then my final negative, okay, and again, this is, you know, a subjective take, but honestly, like, when I do look at remakes done well, like Dead Space or Silent Hill or even Black Flag, you know, they added a lot more content, or they fundamentally redesigned the level design and structure. If you think about Dead Space, how that was kind of different with lots of new areas to explore, there's just not enough of that from at least what I've seen so far, you know. And again, it could be later on in other missions, and there are new missions, but there's not, you know, a huge amount of new content. And if this was going to be the big grand remake, the big grand rebirth of the original Halo game, the thing that started this all basically for many of us, you know, why not recreate the levels, make them a lot bigger, add much more, you know, like warring factions with covenants and new enemy types, and, you know, make it a true remake, not just a shiny remaster. And in many ways, this feels like a remaster with upgraded graphics, elements from the other Halo games, and then this crazy remix mode. And as a remix mode, it's a lot of fun, but as a remake, it's not faithful. It's faithful in some areas and then completely disregards being faithful in other areas. And it just doesn't make sense. Like, if you're going to make this a remake, make it big and grand and get that, you know, next-gen Halo wow factor, but instead they just kind of added a bunch of nice graphics. So I'm just very mixed on this game. Personally, I don't think it's, you know, something I'm interested in. Objectively, it's a fun Halo game, it's a fun shooter, and I will be playing around with the remix mode, but I don't think it's worth full price. And that is my Halo Campaign Evolved review. I tried to be objective to begin with and gave you my personal takes at the end, so I hope you can appreciate that. Let me know what you think about this game in the comments down below, and I'll be seeing you in the next video, my wise ones. I've completely lost my voice, so thank you for watching, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Now, as you know, as a YouTuber, it's hard to pay the bills, and if you're aware, last month I talked a lot about Raid Shadow Legends as I had a monthly partnership with them, but I have got some good news because my bonus code is still active right now, so you can still get huge benefits by using my link below and downloading Raid Shadow Legends today. So if you want to support the channel and you want to play a good mobile RPG on the go, then check out the link down below and secure those benefits while you still can.
All combat personnel, fall back and take your position.